review them. Currently, your mics are muted, so you can always just drop reactions, as I've said earlier. But when you need to speak, because you'll get to the Q&A and you need to speak, by the time you raise up your hands, we would be able to enable your mics, and then you can go ahead to unmute yourself and speak. But for now, your mics are muted. Also, we would want to advise that you pen down your questions until the Q&A so that we don't distract the flow of the presenter or the speaker. And then also you can follow us on Twitter at NGM365. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. So for every preceding videos, every of the videos we've had for the mentorship program, year in, year out. Also, there's also a deep dive session. There are also videos you can always go back to learn, and they are all available on YouTube channel. So I want to implore you, if you have not already subscribed, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is a free program, but we would encourage you to please subscribe to that YouTube channel, watch the videos, like them, share them on every of the mediums where you are signed up on. And then we value your feedback. So feedback form will be shared intermittently in some of these sessions. So you can always drop feedback to let us know how we are doing. If there are other things you think we should work on, or there are some other topics you think we should speak about, if we've not spoken on them, you can also share those in the feedback form. And lastly is the attendance. And I always like to say this, don't be distracted by the attendance link. It will be shared before the end of the call, but you don't have to request for it. Don't get yourself out of learning because you're trying to fill an attendance form. The most important thing is you learn, because all these speakers have a lot to tell you, and I won't want you to miss any bit of it. So that's it from me at this moment. I would now like to yield the mic to our speaker, Deji Omitola. Thank you, guys. Over to you, Deji.
All right, thank you very much, Adekunle, for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. I believe most of us are at night, except if there's someone joining from another time zone. Then I will say good afternoon or good morning, as the case may be. Yeah, so just to confirm, Adekunle, if you can confirm, you can hear me loud and clear.
Very, very, very loud. Yeah.
Oh, all right then. Okay. Let me just share my screen then. Okay. Is my screen visible? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I can see it. And I think it should be the same for others. Okay, that thumbs up. So I think they can see as well.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone, again. Like Adekunle said, my name is Deji Omitola. And then I want to say welcome to everyone that has joined the call. Also, I would like to, take this moment to appreciate the organizers of this mentorship program. It is always a pleasure for me to be part of, IT enthusiasts and people who are passionate about learning when it comes to, the IT world, not just Microsoft as it is. But when I see people that are, passionate about learning, and I'm always proud to contribute my quota to it. And yeah, so I want to thank the leadership of the M365 community, Nigeria, led by Madam Olajumoke Toriola. I'm also part of the leadership, by the way, but I've been in the background in recent times, so yeah, so that being said, I also believe that this mentorship program has been on since I think February, right? And I want to believe, I don't know if I want to believe that We've gone through series of class. We've checked different, different services of Microsoft 365. We must have done Exchange, SharePoint, and the likes, And then today we are talking about security. Last week also, I know the security session started last week. And I joined the session, by the way, I think towards the end, the second day, so I saw that we were doing security. So today also we're going to be continuing on the security aspect of Microsoft 365, right? And I'm pretty sure you would all agree with me that security is very important, right? Looking at Microsoft 365 as a technology, yeah, so before I continue, I just want to say that I wish the mic can be unmuted, but yeah, I know that maybe some people might maybe distract the class, so that's why we are I would usually like to hear feedbacks and then to to get questions. I want this session to be as interactive as possible. So if at any point in time you want to, maybe something is not clear to you that I said, I think I would prefer that, if you can maybe raise your hand or something. I want us to have it more like a chit chat. This is a mentorship program, right? It's supposed to be, we're supposed to kind of like be holding hands, So, oh, someone is already raising hand. Okay, Simeon. Sorry if I pronounced that very well. Simeon. Adekunle, please, can you please unmute Simeon? I want to hear from him.
Yeah, Simeon, so you can unmute your mic. I enabled your mic already.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to come at this place this time to ask this question. And I'm very happy. It's just as if you were seeing my mind when you actually said this. I was actually laughing, jumping, and in fact, I was clapping here. And I was very happy. I was like, wow, it's just as if somebody sent my thoughts to you. Thank you so much for this. Despite that, they've really given to us a long and well-detailed explanations and teachings and mentorship, which has really been helpful. Trust me, it has really been helpful because everything I've been going through the recorded classes and I've been practicing everything. Now, straight to my question or what I would like to say. Now, I happen to be an IT administrator of my company, and this happened to be the very first company I'm going to be giving, and the security administrator and global administrator as the manager IT. So now this is my question to be direct. Immediately you have been given this opportunity in any company and they hand over that position to you and they say you are the IT administrator here, you are the manager IT here, we put our cloud infrastructure into your hands, which entails Entra ID, Intune, and security portal. Or should I even say maybe even Teams, or I don't want to go to SharePoint now, Teams, and maybe which other one do we have again that we've gone through? So I want to say specifically in security wise, when it comes to security, what are the presets that a cybersecurity engineer should do the first 1 week or 2 weeks when you get there? Go into Entra ID. What are the settings you should turn on? Which one should you turn off? What are the things you are supposed to look into? So have the best settings for Entra ID security. Looking into Intune also, what should you do? That I know you understand what I mean by what should an administrator do in this configuration, and then coming down to security portal, what are the settings you should turn on? What are the measures you should put in place that you should not even leave it? Don't even try to leave it open. What are the things you're supposed to do? Then what are the things you're not supposed to be doing every day? Like when you come to the office, the thing you're supposed to do is like, okay, go to the vulnerability management, check this vulnerability, as in everyday activity of an IT administrator and a cybersecurity engineer. What are the preset settings in Intune, Entra ID and security, and what are the daily activities of what you must be
Okay.
doing? That is my question.
Yeah, I get your question. Thank you very much, Simeon, for that. So your question is not really a question. I think what you're asking for is more like a consultation kind of a thing, because it is, managing an enterprise, it entails different things. And then when we say that security, of course, I can give you like a general answers or certain things that you need to look out for, but then like for instance, one of the primary things that can help you or that can be like a guide for you is the secure score, or the Microsoft secure score, which you have in the Defender for Office 365. You also have the identity secure score. It has various recommendations as to what you can enable that will give you a generally a good security posture. So I cannot start mentioning all of it one after the other on this session because we have limited time. So like I said, what you asked for is more like a consultation kind of a thing. So I believe this session is majorly for people who are generally, would I say, um, beginners or intermediate. Yeah, that's my understanding. So I want us to take it from the bottom up. You get, so as we proceed, you will definitely get some other things that are interest that might help you in achieving what you want to achieve. But generally, if I'm going to handle that, it's more like a consultation. So maybe we can talk after the class. Okay, so let me proceed. Now, the general Microsoft security architecture, it's built, is managed by what we call Microsoft Defender XDR. So in advanced Microsoft cybersecurity, where we study Microsoft Defender XDR, it is built, or it is divided into four major categories, which is Defender for Identity, Defender for Office 365, Defender for Cloud Apps, and Defender for Endpoints. Yeah. There's also vulnerability management, which is part of the XDR, but there are four major ones which I just mentioned. And I want us to, for the next, between today and tomorrow, focus primarily on Defender for Identity. Sorry, just want to open my chat so I can see if something comes up. Okay, so we want to focus more on Defender for identity. So we're going to be looking at we're going to focus more on identity security, the aspect of identity security today. Now, on this class, we're going to understand, at the end of this class, you'll be able to understand the difference between authentication and authorization, describe the concept of identity as a security perimeter, describe identity-related service, understand MFA and conditional access concept, understand identity-based attacks in Microsoft 365. Okay, now, why identity security matters? Why identity security matters? Now, like I said earlier, I believe that over the past weeks, we've been studying Exchange, SharePoint, Teams, and the likes. So those are services in Microsoft 365. So for instance, when I talk about Exchange, it is my email service. When I talk about Teams, it is my chat and collaboration service. However, to access these services, we need what we called, or we use what is called identity. Your email is just a tool that is there, and for you to access your email, you need some sort of identity to actually authenticate and to sign in to your emails. So uh, generally there are a lot of increasing cyber attacks these days, and majority of the time it is 90% of cyber attacks, it is related to identity related issue, either through human error, or there is a slack on the administrator's end. So there are lots of things that we need to put in place when it comes to identity, and we need to take security. We need to secure our environment, especially identity part. If you're able to get to secure our the identity section, then the other parts of like for instance in Exchange online protection, we will discover that where we have spam, anti-spam, anti-phishing, and all of that, there is security in that aspect also. But if you're able to get our environment secure when it comes to identity, we have actually solved 80% of our problems. You get what I'm saying? Now, I want us to I want to describe to us the concept of authentication and authorization, because the class is going to be built on this particular concept. What is authentication? Authentication is the process of proving that a person is who they say they are. And then authorization determines the level of access or permission an authenticated user has to your data. Now, I'm going to give us a real life example. Imagine that you're invited to the Aso Rock, and then by the president, and then you get to the Aso Rock, you get to the gates of Aso Rock, and then you present your ID card, and they ask you that, well, who are you? In fact, you even presented the invitation card by the president. That process that you're trying to go through is what we call authentication. So they want to know if you are the right person. You show them your ID card, it has your name in it, it has your picture, and then, but because you've presented that doesn't mean that you've entered Aso Rock or you've seen the president. You haven't. You are still there. Now, whether you're going to enter or whether you would actually see the president is now the process of authorization. So when you've presented your ID card and your, documents, and they say, oh, this is the security person can say, well, even though we've seen your ID card and we've seen your document, I'm sorry, you won't still enter this Aso Rock. You haven't successfully entered Aso Rock. Authentication is, checked, but authorization is not checked in that scenario. So for authorization to be checked, it's now like, okay, you have access. So you've accessed. Authorization now means that you've accessed the Aso Rock. Now, coming back to Microsoft 365, when the process of authentication and authorization, I can relate it to, for instance, you're trying to sign into your email, you put in your password and username, and then it's correct. It says that it's correct, but due to maybe some policies in the organization, or like, for instance, conditional access policy, you see something like your sign-in is successful, but you don't have access to these resources. It could be maybe there's a policy that says that, oh, for you to sign in to this to your resources, you need to be using a company laptop. So you have signed in, your signing is successful. They know that you are the right person, but you are not using the company laptop, so you will not get access. So that's more like the concept of security, authorization, and authentication. Also, you see that we have, as we proceed, you're going to see, you're going to understand in detail what I'm trying to say. Now, identity as a perimeter, as a primary security perimeter. Identity has become the new security perimeter that enables organizations to secure their assets. Like I said, there are other aspects of Microsoft 365 that we also focus on security there, but identity is kind of like the primary one. If you're able to get it right from who have access or who's trying to access your system, you've already like solved most of your problem. You have actually solved most of your problem. And you see what attackers or cyber attackers, what they do in recent times, is they are keen on getting that your password or access to your systems, and that is why companies like Microsoft, they have built their authentication, they have built their identity platform such that it is based on modern authentication, and not just ordinary password will suffice for you to get access into your system. There are some other levels to it. Now, there are 4 pillars to identity infrastructure. There is the administration, authentication, authorization, and auditing. What is administration? Administration is generally your about creation and management of identities for users. You manage how and under what circumstance the identities can change, creating users, updating their properties and things like that. Authentication is what I explained previously. It checks if you're the right person that is actually accessing the system. Authorization is what level of access do you have? Do you have access as a global admin level, or are you just able to see certain things? Are you just able to access certain aspects? Then auditing, of course, auditing is another very important thing to consider here. So auditing it helps us to keep track of who does what and when and where, which is very, very important in today's world. Auditing is very critical, so it helps us to be able to track who had access to this kind of thing. And in situations whereby there is password compromise, or there is identity theft or something, or someone hacked into your system, someone knows your password one way or the other, auditing will now help us to actually determine, okay, where did this thing happen? If, for instance, I said that I stay in Nigeria, for instance, and then the auditing is showing me that, oh, signing happened in Ghana, that is a red flag to say, oh, but this person actually stayed in Nigeria. How come there's a signing from Ghana? And then fully well that this person did not travel to Ghana. So that is one thing auditing helps us to achieve also. Are we together? Okay. You can, yeah, okay, thank you. All right, now going to the next slide. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, these three things I mentioned, the goal is a goal for cybersecurity strategy. Now, all these things that we are trying to do to secure our environment, to make sure that nobody, your identity is not compromised. It is so that confidentiality, we ensure that sensitive data, such as customers' information, remain confidential. We do not want, the reason why we are doing all of this is you don't want someone else to have access to what they should not have. That is confidentiality. Integrity is helping us to know that, okay, whatever data I have or whatever thing I have in my system, nothing is going to change it. No one is going to come and tweak it and then modify it, wrongly. So if you save something, if you save a Word document, for instance, and someone signs into your system and then deletes a paragraph in it, then the document is as good as useless because it's no longer what it's supposed to be. And availability refers to ensuring that the data is available at any given point in time. Okay, understanding identity security. Now, I can mention earlier, more than 90% of attacks begins with compromised identities or phishing attempts. That's just the fact, you can Google that and check it anyway. If identity is well protected, it will help you to, resolve most of your security challenges. It will help you resolve it. Identity security helps organizations to identify risks, improve security, general security, and also compare against industry standard. Okay, now core identity security controls. We have multi-factor authentication, we have conditional access, we have least privilege access, passwordless authentication, identity protection. Now, I believe most of us know what I mean by multi-factor authentication. So multi-factor authentication is beyond your username and password. We don't give us some other things to show that you are actually, the person. So if I'm going to relate it with my initial analogy of you going to the Asura, if you present your ID card and this thing, and I'm like, I don't trust you. What if this person is an identical twins and then he's presenting someone else's ID card that looks like him, So in that case, I would say that, okay, yeah, I've seen you, but can you do like a thumbprint, a fingerprint here? Let me just be sure that you are the one. So beyond your password, you do that. Then conditional access focus on in programming. But those are software developers, they know what I mean by if then else statements. So which is like conditions that must be met. If this, then do this. Otherwise, do this. So you set some conditions that if those conditions are not met, you will not be able to have access to the system. Least privilege access talks about users should only have the required permission that they have. So that is why in Microsoft 365 you have different types of administrator. You have global admin that can do everything. You have exchange admin. You have password admin. You have user admin. You don't want to say, well, everybody's admin. Let me just give them, everything, and then someone that doesn't need global admin has the privilege. So least privilege access ensures that you have access to what is required. If what I need this person to do is just to change, to add people to groups, I don't need to make you an exchange administrator. By the way, we can create a custom, administrative roles that can say, all I want this person to just be able to do is just be able to view a particular document. You can't modify it, you can't do it. So that's it. And then we have the passwordless authentication. Yeah, so I'm sure we must have heard of the Windows, their Windows Hello, their biometrics, and then some other password authentication method, and also identity protection. So identity protection helps us to detect risky users and risky sign-ins, and also to be able to set some kind of protection, password protection policies that we determine if you can have, if some kind of commonly used passwords are not going to be allowed, and maybe passwords that are, I'm sure you must have seen the situation whereby you're trying to sign in and then you're saying that your password is too simple or things like that. So we can do all of that with that. Okay, I already explained what two-factor, multi-factor authentication is. So common MFA method, you have the Authenticator app, SMS, phone calls, FIDO, security keys. Now, the FIDO2 security keys, it's more like a token, that's like an hardware token that you would usually insert to your laptop. And if you don't have that token, if you don't have that that hardware key, you won't be able to proceed with your authentication. So you can see more like you're in Nigeria, for if you're trying to do bank transfers. So for GTB, there is this hardware token that if you don't have that key, your transfer will not be successful. You'll be able to proceed, even though you've signed into your internet banking app. So something like that. I know there's UB key, that you can use that is supported with Microsoft 365. Okay. MFA protect against password theft, phishing attack, password spraying, and credential stuffing. What's password spraying? Password spraying is just it is like a brute force attack. So that is a attackers are trying to use commonly used password. That's why you don't Microsoft 365 it helps to prevent this kind of attacks, whereby commonly used passwords like password at 123, things like that, a summer 2026, all those kind of thing. It protects. So even if you use a small password or a simple password, the ordinary password will not be enough to get you access into the system. And then credential stuffing is, I'm sure you must have seen when you're trying to access the website and then it's saying that prove that you are not a robot or something like that, you're not a bot. So this is when bots are being used to try different combinations of keys to sign in. So when you're trying different combinations, it will just all of a sudden one of it is going to be correct and then it's going to access your system. So if that is happening with two-factor authentication in place, they will not be able to proceed to the signing, to the resource rather. Then conditional access, I think I already explained conditional access. We're going to get to demo and then we're going to see these things. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about is identity provider. Now, who are identity providers? So, of course, Microsoft is an identity provider, and their identity platform is Microsoft Entra. Microsoft Entra is for it is what Microsoft 365 is built on. That is the identity service for Microsoft that Microsoft 365 makes. So, of course, I'm sure you must have seen this type of sign-in page on my screen. So when you're trying to build a website, when you're trying to sign into some websites, and then you just sort of choose sign in with your Google account, Microsoft, or you sign up with, you don't have to start putting your own username and password. So it just goes to Google and then use the credentials. So although for Microsoft, that particular service is under what we call, the Azure AD B2C, kind of thing. Azure AD B2C, that's another thing entirely. But the point I want to make here that I need you to pay attention to is the fact that um, identity is a very critical thing to look out for. And companies like Microsoft, these identity providers, right, they've invested so much in developing a well secured and reliable platform, such as for Microsoft, Microsoft Entra. Google has their own. I know there's another one, there's Okta. There are some other identity providers like that. And when you build a software developer, or you develop your own application, the sign-in part of the application is always like the most vulnerable part. So if you develop a tool, let's say for instance you develop a game app or something online, the purpose of that application is to just maybe do some social things, right? That is the purpose. But it will interest you to know that the authentication aspect of that program that you have developed is actually very critical, because if you do not guide it very well, it's just a matter of days. Your application that you have spent thousands or millions to build, people will start attacking it, or it's just going to start getting compromised. So identity providers, they have spent billions and millions of dollars and invested a lot in building this kind of identity service that is very secure, that have all of these functionalities I mentioned, like multi-factor authentication, that has ability for auditing. You can see what has happened. You can implement advanced security layers on it. So um, that is that for identity providers. Okay. Modern authentication and the role of identity providers. Okay, so I already mentioned this. At the center of modern authentication is the role of identity providers. Identity providers offers authentication, authorization, and auditing service. Yeah, so Microsoft Entra is a good example of identity provider. I'm going to share, maybe later on, I will share a video or a link in the chat, so you can watch that. It will give you much more understanding on it. Also, another great features of these identity providers is they provide single sign-on. Yeah. When you use those platforms, it helps you to like sign in automatically. When you're securely signed into a session, it helps you to securely access other services. I mean, other it helps you to sign in automatically to other sessions on that particular browser. Okay, so this is now we're going to be going to demo. I think I have a few slides after now. Yeah, let's just go over them, and before we now focus on the demo. Just a second, I need to just give me 2 seconds. I need to turn off a alarm here. So sorry. All right. Thank you very much for that. Okay. So we're going to go to, just before we go to demo, I have some few more slides here. I will just let us go over them, then we can go to the demo. Okay. Explore the authentication capabilities of Microsoft Entra. All right. Authentication method of Microsoft Entra. We have password, which like the primary authentication, you already know that username and password. Then the phone-based authentication, where we have SMS or either voice calls that will come in before you approve. And then we have the OAuth, secondary authentication, standard for how one-time password codes are generated. We have software tokens, we have hardware tokens. Under it is still where we have, the Authenticator app and then the FIDO2 that I mentioned earlier. Well, now passwordless right now is a combination of primary and secondary auth, whereby you sign in with the primary your username password, and then you still go ahead with like an extra level of security using your Authenticator app and then the FIDO2. Then we have certificate-based. So certificate-based authentication is more like is a certificate, right? That if that certificate is not installed on your on the device you're trying to use to access the system, you will not be able to gain access. So it is commonly used for authentication to servers and to network infrastructures like Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi. There are companies that use this for Wi-Fi authentication, whereby you don't put username and password. Putting password on Wi-Fi is like the the most unsecure way to secure your password, because the password can easily be seen by anyone that is IT inclined and that knows IT very, they can easily see. So they use certificate-based authentication. It's like an XML file. It's encrypted. You can't really read what is there. It is the server that is connecting to that will decrypt it, and then we give you the access that will grant the access. Okay. Okay. Or multi-factor authentication dramatically improve the security of identity while still being simple for users. So MFA requires more than one form of verification. Something you know, something you have, and something you have. Yeah, I think last week also when I joined, I saw that our speaker was trying to explain something like this. So it is beyond what you know. What you know is like your password. Yeah. What if I know what you know? If I know your password, I already know that I know your password. Then something you have is going beyond what you know. So something you have could be your phone, your hardware key that you then use. If you don't have that particular thing in your hand at that time, you won't be able to sign in. You won't be able to have access. So the question now is, what if maybe I took your phone or I stole your phone, but one way or the other, I know your password, and then someone stole your phone, so then we now go to this third layer, which is something you have, and then what you have is what you have. Nobody can change that, right? And the example of that is your biometrics, like your fingerprints or face scanning and the likes. Then the security defaults. Security default requires all users to complete MFA as needed. force administrators to use MFA and force MFA for user. So over the years, right, Microsoft have seen that, you know, most of the attack that organization gets is due to identity. And so there's what we call security defaults, which means that either you like it or not, you will have two-factor authentication. You have a second level authentication. Just regular username and password is not going to work in Microsoft, right? Before, it used to be possible whereby, you know, you just use your username and password. But see, security default is something that we enforce the two-factor authentication by default for everyone. So that is being enabled. That has been enabled to all organizations now. You know, although you have some tenants still have option to, you know, like disable that, right? But I know that the pipeline for Microsoft is that would be like the standard default. Like you won't even be able to disable that feature going forward. And of course, this is the page that looks like our signing that is prompting us for MFA. Okay, then I have here, oh, sorry, I have your self-service password reset, SSPR. Now, SSPR is very important here because if you work in an enterprise environment, and when I say enterprise, I mean companies that have 2,000, 5,000 employees, you know, a lot of users. One of the major IT tickets that comes in is password reset, password reset, password reset. And so Microsoft has been able to do like this self-service password reset in a secure way, such that, you know, it's reduced the workload on IT administrator of resetting password because yeah, people forget password. I don't think we can change that. Yeah, a lot of people have what they are thinking about. So, but the process of now changing it, we need to make sure that when you are changing it, is not now that time that your password will not be compromised or it will be easily stolen. So there's a secure way for password resets, which is also available on Microsoft Entra. So benefit of self-service, America can change settings to accommodate new security requirements. It saves the organization money by reducing the number of calls and requests. Yeah, so lots of people raise updates of reset password. It increases productivity, allowing the users to return to work faster. So someone doesn't say, oh, yeah, but IT has not reset my password. People can do it. And how does the SSPR work? So it makes use of the two-factor, you know, authentication listing that we've already mentioned before. So through when you're signing up for Microsoft or when you're setting up your account for the first time, it will usually, once you've set up your 2FA, when you want to reset the password security, so there's going to be some sort of code or notification that will be sent to your preferred MFA method, and then you'll be able to use that to complete your password reset securely. You know, so that is what SSPR helps us to do. Password protection and management capabilities. Okay, so Microsoft Entra also has what we call password protection policies, whereby it helps us to reduce the risk of users setting weak password, globally banned password list, custom banned password list. Now, you know, globally banned password list, Microsoft already, when you use this policy, Microsoft has a list of globally banned password list. For instance, maybe things like you're setting password and you're still using password inside of your password. You're using password as your password, you know. So there are some keywords that generally anywhere you go, any standard identity provider you go, it will not be allowed to tell you it's too easy. So you can utilize that. There are also custom band. You can create your custom band password. So, for instance, the name of your company is Digitech or something, and then your staff when they are setting up, because users they want something easy for them, so they can be setting password as Digitech 123. You are working for Digitech and then you're still trying to use Digitech as your password. So you can have your own customized password band list to put there, and then people would not be able to use that if it's in part of their password, because what you are trying to do, your primary goal is to create an environment or create a system whereby it is difficult for attackers to penetrate. Protecting against password spray. It's also integrated with on-premises environments, that is that. So generally, your role as a IT administrator or a security consultant or a security engineer or whatever, it is to create your system such that it will be difficult for attackers to penetrate. That is what you want to achieve. That is what you want to do, because there's this thing there's this concept that in IT, that is when your system allows something, then you cannot blame the user involved. For instance, if your system allows people to use simple password and then the person's account got hacked, you won't say, oh, why did you use the simple password? Because when the person is creating or setting up, it allowed him. So it's not the problem of the user. It is your duty as a security engineer to make sure that when you're setting up your policies, you factor in all of these things. End users don't like stress. They want something easy because they don't really. As a matter of fact, you still see some end users, when they set their password, they still write it down. They don't want to forget, which is a very big red flag. So putting all those things in mind, as a security engineer, you now plan your security system such that, okay, I don't want people to use simple password. I don't want people to, for instance, if you write your password somewhere, I know that should not be enough. At least you should be able to use your phone. Then you should be able to use fingerprint. You should be able to use facial scan and things like that. So that is your primary work as a security engineer. So I think that will be it for my presentation tonight, and then we'll go into the demo. But before we go to the demo, let me just check. I've minimized Teams. Let me check if there's any question, or if you want to ask question, you can ask now before we go to the demo. Okay. Any question? Do we get the concepts? Were they clear enough? Is there anything confusing about what I've said tonight? Okay, so I'll just take that as no. So let me share my screen for demo. Okay. All right. So, yeah. So the things I will be checking out in the demo today, we'll be looking at. 1 second. All right. So if we get to our Microsoft, so I believe we all know how to get to this place, and then there's identity admin center. Yeah, that is where we manage everything that has to do with identity, and then we can look at the also the security part of it also. So when I navigate to this, it opens the Microsoft Entra ID page, and then yeah, so that is loading. Yeah, so remember I said that identity is their object, right? That you can use to authenticate to maybe a user account or devices or any object basically, right? Now, one of the things that you would one of the benefits or one of the key benefits of Microsoft Entra, is its ability to audit. And when you're as an administrator here, you will be able to one of the things you would do regularly is to investigate, right? Especially when there's a compromise issue. And so I created a user. Let me use that user as an example. So I created this one. So let's say, for instance, there's been a compromise on this user's account, and then the person say, "Oh, my account was hacked," or there's an issue whereby the email of someone sends an email with this person's account, and then the user claims that, oh, this is not, I didn't send any email. What happened? Who sent the email? And then there's an issue, and then you as the security engineer, the thing lands on your table. So one of the major things you're going to look at is logs. So the log, Microsoft 365, Microsoft Entra gives us the capability to get logs. And when you go to the user, you can always see number one, the sign-in logs. Yeah. So, okay, because I created this account today, yeah, and I haven't actually signed in. So if I sign in to this account, it will reflect here in a couple of minutes. So let me look for another random account. So let me just, I'm not sure if this one has. So, okay, I think I know what to do. Let me just come here just to show me everyone. All right, so yeah, this is my account that I used to sign in today. You can see that it gives me some information about my signing. It gives me information about everyone and their signing history. And then you can even see it up to the IP address, for instance. So I have signed into Outlook. I've signed into Outlook on the web. You can see the date and time of the signing. It helps you to investigate further on this. You can see, the person. You can see the application I signed into, Outlook Web. You know, you can go further to help us to see from the location assigned in. Yeah, you see, this is where I signed in from. Yeah, it shows me the browser that I'm using to sign in. Yeah, it shows me authentication details. It shows me if conditional access is applied. Now you can see security default is the name of the policy. So this is the default. There is no other conditional access that is applied on my account. So it is the only security default. We can see it here, So this would help us. Let me look for, there's one account I saw that had sign-in failure. Okay, so let's take this for instance. This interrupted. This signing wasn't successful. For instance, so here you can see the details of the signing from here. Microsoft Authentication, the status was interrupted, so this wasn't completed. If you wanted to sign in, user needs to perform multi-factor authentication. There could be multiple things requiring multi-factor authentication here. So this kind of person has gone past the username and password thing, and then it's now gets to the multi-factor authentication, but this wasn't completed. So you can see that here. You can see the location where the user is trying to sign in from. This is a Chrome mobile. You can see it's a mobile phone and it's Android operating system. Plenty things. And then you can see, okay, so this person authentication, yes, password is correct, but MFA is not completed. That is where it got stuck. This person, the security default, that's the required MFA. It wasn't also completed. Show details. Let's see if we can get more details. So when you go to users in Entra ID, you'll be able to see what you can see their signing logs. You can see their signing logs, and it will help you to make some decisions about if the account is compromised or your investigation you're trying to make or things like that. Yeah, so that is that for signing. So let us go to audit logs. Remember I said that one of the key capabilities of modern authentication platform is the auditing. Yeah, so if in situation whereby you're investigating, would maybe someone deleted some things on the system, you can also see who carried out those actions. You carried out those actions. So for instance, I think I created this user. This was the time I created this user. You can see today around this time, this is where the status or the activity show add user. So this user was added to the system around this time. The person that added it is this account I used to sign in. Yeah, you can see the properties that was modified. The properties that was modified included the name, display name, every other thing that was added today. I think I want to show us there's one other one that can give us explanation in details. Okay, so yeah, at this time that I updated the license of this user, I can see them here. I can see the activity here. I can see here. So here you're usually going to see some, funny things like new value. You don't really need to bother about this for now. But in cases whereby you're investigating maybe compromise or some major critical updates or something, you don't need to stress yourself to read this. If you look critically well, you can get a little understanding of what is happening here. However, you can utilize tools can utilize AI to help you to understand it more better. So I can put it in maybe ChatGPT and then tell it that, okay, what are the updates? What update was made here? Or Copilot for Microsoft. So if I put that here and then I tell it to look at it, it should hopefully give us something here. Okay. So this show individual service plan being enabled as part of one or more licenses were assigned earlier. Everything here indicates successful provisioning, no failure. No. So you can put them in AI to help you analyze it. If you're not able to read it very well, to give you full meaning of what happened. It shows that Exchange Online was the service that was updated, the time, everything. SharePoint, Teams, these are the licenses that were added to, that was given to that user at that time. Yeah, so yeah, that is one thing about auditing. Now, also let us go to password protection. Now, I mentioned password protection. We were able to create customized password protection policies that you can use global band password or custom band password. Now, okay, unfortunately, this tenant, this trial environment I'm using, Microsoft Entra, the premium license is not available. So some of these features requires, advanced license like Azure the premium P1, P1 or P2, so if that's, I forgot to mention that it's a requirement. So yeah, because we don't have that, you can see it's graded out, but it's majorly just, it's practically easy to set up, when we come here. Okay. Another thing, yeah, I wanted to show us here will be identity secure score. Now, I think last week when I joined in briefly, I saw that we're looking at Microsoft 365 secure score generally. So the same way we have it in the Office 365 aspect, we have it also in the Entra environment. Like the person that Simeon that asked the question at the beginning of the class, that what are the things that can be your checklist. This is one of the things that you can rely on. You see, currently this tenant is showing the identity score is 92, which is a very good one. Microsoft benchmark is usually around 80 something, so this is okay. And then it will show us recommendations of what you need to do to have a better security posture. So I believe most of these have already been done, that for us to have 90. Yeah. So require MFA for, you can see recommendations. Okay, you can see this is already completed. Require MFA for all admins. So every administrator already has MFA. Oh, let me go back there. Okay. Every administrator already has MFA. Do not expire password. What does this say? The current policy said to never let password expire. So basically, we check recommendations from the secure score, identity secure score, and then it will show us what are the things we need to do to have a better security posture. And then once we implement that, it would increase our score, and then we can, be more secure when it comes to identity. Yeah, also let us look at risky users and risky signings. Now, one of the capabilities you also get from modern authentication providers like Microsoft Entra is this risky user power. So it is the ability for the tools to detect users that are uh, that that has potential of being um, being compromised. So this Microsoft Entra runs in the background, and it's able to kind of suspect account even before the user reported that my account has been compromised or my account is being hacked or something. That is one of the things you get from here. And if you see a risky signing, so if how does it come up with this data? So number one, it checks the location of the user that you set when you are creating the user, and then the history of the signing of that user. Yeah, the history of the signing. So if the user has always signed in from a particular location, and then all of a sudden it shows that the user is signing in India or in Japan or somewhere, it could be a flag. So this account obviously is showing as risky signing. Now, in some cases it might be false positive. This person might maybe you can maybe connect to a virtual machine that is hosted in a country that is far away, but of course, Microsoft will detect that. Risky signing doesn't automatically block like that, except you set a conditional access policy, or you set a policy that once it flags that this account is suspicious, block the signing. So you can see the security, the users that are at risk. You can see their details here. It will show you where they're attempting to sign in from. And another way that another way that your account can get into risky signing is when what we call impossible travel. Now, for instance, if I sign in, I'm in the UK now. If I sign in on my laptop, and then in the next 20 minutes, I sign in Nigeria, it's not possible for me to travel from UK to Nigeria within 20 minutes, right? So Microsoft will detect and flag that as a risky signing. It's not possible. You can't sign it. It's not actually possible. But if I sign it, it's possible that I sign in now, and then in the next 6 hours or 7 hours, if I sign in from Nigeria, it's possible. So that would not count as a risky signing. you know it's normal for someone to travel within that distance. So also, if you're traveling from, for instance, Nigeria to Australia is, I think, about, is it 12 or 18 hours or so, I'm not sure. But travel journeys that should take 20 hours, and then signing is happening in two different locations within 1 hour, that can be a flag. Another thing that can trigger, and this is when you sign in repeatedly, when you're trying to sign repeatedly over a short period of time. So it could be like, a bot trying to try different password, different combinations of key. So the risky sign has a lot of algorithm that runs the security thing that run in the background to help us to identify and flag um, any um, potential risk that can come upon a user, or any potential risk, basically. So yeah, that is that for that. Also, yeah, let us check. Um, okay, conditional access. Mm, conditional access. So I mentioned conditional access during my presentation, and how it works is that you set some rules and conditions that if not met, you will not have access to the resource or to the system or to the platform, So let us try to create a conditional access policy. So we have test policy. I wonder how many test policy I've had. Everything is test. So now we have the name. Then who do you want to apply the policy on? So you can apply directly to a user, a group of users, or a set of users with a particular role. So like a particular, so you can apply to say all the global admins or all the exchange admins or all the admins, So in this case, we're saying that let us add to all users. But when we do this, you can see there's a warning here that is saying that don't lock yourself up, because one thing about conditional access policy, you don't just come here to create policies. Even maybe after now you want to play around or test in your environment, you need to be very careful here, because if you create a policy and the policy you include yourself, and let's say the policy is saying that block you or block access, you that created it, by the time your browser refresh, you are locked out, so you won't be able to modify anything. So someone needs to be very careful. So if I was applying it to all users, this is what I would choose. But let me just say a particular, select a user, a group. Now I want to select a user. Remember I said you can do directory roles. If it was directory roles, I can choose a particular admin, people that have this role can see what password admin. But yeah, let's do user. Okay, just training user creating. I'm going to uncheck this. So the policy is going to apply to this person. Now, if, for instance, this is why I said this conditional aspect is you can easily customize it, right? If, for instance, I want to add, I want to exclude, if I say all users and I want to exclude certain people, so I can put all users and exclude myself as the admin, or exclude, say, all the management staff, or all the the top management staff of the organization. I can do that here. So I can have all people and exclude some people, but for this purpose, let's just leave it like this. Then we're going to say target resources. Now, when it comes to target resources, we need to now see what are the things we want to target. Now, if I come to select resource, and then I come here, you will see that because this conditional access policy it covers the entire Microsoft ecosystem. You can use it for the entire Microsoft. So either you are doing cloud apps, or you're just doing the SaaS, which is the Office 365 aspects, or you are doing for some deep Azure, features. You can. So when I choose select resources, I'll see all the resource here. So if, for instance, I have deployed an application in my environment, I can apply that, okay, this policy applies to this when I'm running this application. But for the purpose of this training, again, I will just choose Office 365. So Office 365 captures our, normal email signing, Teams, SharePoint, and all of that. There are lots and lots of other, for instance, I can say this Microsoft admin portals alone. So let me just select this. So we have said that apply this policy to the training user alone. I'm not excluding anybody because it's just there. And then I'm saying that the resources I'm targeting is Office 365. Now we come to network here. So when it comes to network, the configure is known. Now, if I set it yes, I can modify this. So I can say that any network. So practically, if you are signing in from anywhere, or my personal Wi-Fi or my personal network, it captures this. But when I say all trusted networks and location, so there's a way to create trusted locations or trusted network. So which will mean that I will add like my public IP to the named location, and then so that can be like for our office, where our office is. So if anyone is browsing from our office with this public IP, because your IP address is going to resolve to that public IP. If anybody's browsing from this, apply to that particular net. So if I've already marked the location as trusted, so I can say this is my office space, this is a trusted location. So any network or any signing or any thing that is originating from this particular location, it should allow. That is where you use this. Or if I want to select, if I want to select specific, this is all trusted location. I want to select specific trusted location, that's where we see that. So let me just do all for this purpose as well. Okay, then you have the grant access or block access, Okay, so here you now have the option to, with all the conditions you have specified, all the things we've set, you now have the option to specify that, okay, you should block access or you should grant access based on this other criteria here. So for instance, if I want to say require Microsoft Entra joint device, so if I want to say that if you're not signing in from if you are not signing in from a Microsoft Entra hybrid joint device, this should apply. So also you can see a warning here, don't lock yourself out. Make sure this device. So if I do this and I select this and I turn this policy on, if training user is trying to sign in and then is not using a Microsoft Entra joint device, then the sign is not going to be completed successfully. So say select here. This one is grayed out here. Okay. I'm not going to turn it on. Let me just create this for now. Okay. So I see. Another thing I didn't mention was conditional access policy. So all of these advanced security features, of course, Microsoft is existing for business, right? So all of these advanced security features require certain licenses or license to, it requires specific licenses. Okay, yeah, so they usually require premium P1, P2. So the license we have, the license we have on this tenant is not the, if I had the business premium or the E3 and E5, that's when we'll be able to utilize all of these advanced tools, right? So we don't have that. We don't have that, so I cannot even save this. Yeah. So, but that's the same way. That's just to show us how to create conditional access policy. Well, note again, I'm going to emphasize conditional access is not, you don't just play around with it. I mean, you can create as it is now, if I had the license and then I just turn it on, or I just put it on report only, I mean, it will not affect any user. It will not affect anyone. I can only go back and then run reports and see that if this policy is actually turned on, who are the people that will be affected. I can simulate that. But once I turn this on, it will immediately like kickstart, and anybody that is that the policy affects, right, to begin to see this. So you need to be careful when you're creating, who to exclude. Usually before I create conditional access for users, for customers, right, go through series of testing, and then the critical part of this is majorly um, planning the policy, planning the conditional access, where you're going to draft out. It's going to be written out like, okay, who are the people that want to be affected? What are the services you want to block? What are the conditions? Draft it out first, understand it on paper, see the flow, then before we now start testing. And usually when testing, you test with one user first. If it's something that you want to do for the entire organization, set for one user first, then go next to setting it for a group of user. It could be, say, maybe one department for a start. They use it for a period of time. We see that nobody is affected. They are able to access all their tools and resources. Then we now go to um then we now go to deploying it for the entire organization. You get what I'm saying? So that is done about conditional access. So let me see, what else are we checking? Okay, so I think I don't want to bog our brains too much, so I'll probably just stop here for now. And then tomorrow we're going to be focusing more on identity. We're going to be focusing more on Defender for Microsoft 365. Yeah, going to be focusing more on that. We're going to be going deeper into it. Yeah, I know that we touched on it last week, so we're going to be doing that more tomorrow. So I think I will leave it here for now, and then we can ask questions for the remaining 20-25 minutes that we have, and then we can have a discussion. So that'll be it from my end. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Deji. Please, can we appreciate our speaker for tonight? That was a good session. So as we know, if you've got questions, you could just raise your hands and then I would enable your mics and then you go on to unmute and speak. So I can see, I think Yahya Sadiq has a question because I see your hands raised. So I just enabled your mic so you can unmute your mic. So we've got time, so we can take as much questions as we can before time cuts off. So yes, Yahya, you can unmute your mic and speak. Just before you go, Yahya, I mentioned this during the introduction that the attendance list will be shared, which has been shared before. If you can't see it, it's probably because you're just joining. So you will get it before the end of the call. Thank you. All right, over to you, Yahya. If you're speaking, we can't
you can unmute your mic. Or
yeah, he's unmuted, but we can't hear him.
you need to check your mic.
Yeah, I think he's actively speaking, but we just can't hear him. If there's any other person that wants to ask a question, please just raise up your hands and I would enable your mics.
So no questions or
Yeah, so I think Yaya has gone back to mute his mic. But if you can't speak, you can maybe just drop your question in
you
the
can,
chat.
yeah, you can drop it.
Okay, so would that be all questions we're getting tonight? Any other person? Okay, so I see why the session is straightforward. All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Deji.
All right, yeah, that's it. I will just drop some resource on the chat, for us to. Okay, I still want to ask his question. Maybe he's typing. Let's just give him 1 minute. So I'll drop some resource on the chat that we can go back to, and to learn more on what we've discussed tonight.
Okay, I can see good luck too. So, good luck. I have enabled your mic. Please check. You should be able to unmute your mic now and speak.
Okay, thank you so much for today's session. Really straightforward. My question is, for instance, like for the sign risk, when an ID is flagged up for sign risk. Maybe, for instance, we have an administrative user ID that maybe we're on a project, so it's kind of administrative that maybe 3-4 persons can use the ID. Now, someone is in Australia, someone is in Jamaica, someone is in the UK. Now, you know that, of course, there is possibility of impossible travels. It's been flagged off. So in such situation that it is flagged off, what do you do? Now, because now this user ID, the person that is in Australia can use it to sign on and do something on the system because it's there for business purpose. Then the person that is in Jamaica too can also use it. Now, you that is in the UK, you can also use it. So there is possibility of that impossible travel, and it is being flagged off. So what do you do as should I call you the security engineer now or the SOC analyst?
Mhm. Okay, so what you do, so when I was explaining risky sign, I mentioned that you can also get what we call the false positive, whereby the system is telling you that it's risky. For instance, maybe the scenario you just painted now, but as an administrator, you are aware about what is happening. So you know that it is not risky, but the system has said it's risky. So what you do in that scenario is you have the option to uh, sort of remediate that and then mark it on the system as what's the word now? You can mark it as confirmed by user or confirmed, so that it knows that you are aware of it. So any action that is being triggered or any action that you said that you should act on for risk user will not act on that in that particular scenario, if you get what I'm saying.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. It's
Yes,
quite
so
simple.
that's
Okay.
it.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, any other question?
Okay, so I think Yaya's question is in the chat, but I think we can take the next person, Shegun.
Okay, thank you very much, and it's sincerely been a wonderful session. So I have a concern, although this is applicable to my environment. So for some weeks now, we've been experiencing attack from different locations, and as part of the measures we try to put in place, we decided to discontinue one-time password, but by adding um, additional security information to Microsoft Authenticator and email address. So we decided to add the passkey. But for some reason, they've been trying to set up a passkey, and at the end of the in the course of the process, it's giving this error message that we don't have there's no passkey saved on your account. I mean, to your account. I don't know where that's coming from and how to go about it. I've been battling with it for almost a week now. And if you permit me, I can quickly share my screen to also share what I'm saying. And if there's a way you
Yeah,
can provide a solution.
yeah. I mean, you can share your screen. What you said something that you disabled something because of the attack. What was that you disabled?
OTP via telephone number. So we only have Microsoft Authenticator, then email address. And so we want to add the passkey as
So
a
you want to add the
third.
passkey?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So can I go ahead and share my screen?
Yeah, you can share your screen. Let's
Okay, but
have
I
a
think
look.
the share button
Oh,
is
yeah,
grayed
yeah.
out.
It will be greater. Um, yeah.
Yeah, just a
Are we able
minute.
to?
I'll make you a
Okay.
presenter just for this. All right. Can you try to share now? Should be enabled now.
Okay. Yes, I can now. I can see the button.
Okay. I see a message from what's this now? Oluwatoyin, you should pay for consulting the speaker. This is an advanced question. Well, that's true.
That that's right. But yeah, since we have time, let us
All right.
Okay.
look
Can
at
you
it.
see my screen now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So what are you seeing the security info? Because I have two screens.
Yeah, I'm seeing the
Okay.
security info
Okay, good.
page
So you
here.
can see we have a Microsoft Authenticator, then email address. So I want
Mm-hmm.
to add this passkey, right? So from my Authenticator app now on my phone,
Mm-hmm.
I'm supposed to just go to select the account, then create a passkey, then sign in. So if I go now, next, so I get this message. I can't go beyond this. I don't know why I'm getting this
To
message.
see the password, you need to add other signing method. Hold on. Are you you are administrator, right, of these tenants?
And so not the global admin, but I
You
just
have
requested
some.
just in time access.
Oh, okay. You have chosen. So do you have wait, no passkey was saved to your account.
So even my I've been on this with the global admin. So it's not like maybe because I'm not the admin. So I've been on this with the global admin, but just not getting this right.
So what I can say from here, it looks like we don't have, if the passkey, the way I'm not 100% sure now, I will need to check, but for passkey to work, you need like there are some passkey tools or application that you need to have on your device. I think so, right?
But that's
So
is it on the system now, on my phone or on the phone?
on
On the laptop.
on your phone, on your phone.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that might be the reason, but I'm not 100% sure of this, but I can check for you. Just bring up the page again that has that error message. I want to see something.
Okay. The page is still up.
No.
Well, sorry, what are you saying now? I
Bring
still have
up
the
the
same
error
message.
message. No, this is
Oh,
the error
okay, okay.
message.
Okay. So I'm supposed to just follow this step. In the Authenticator, I'll select your work account, blah, blah, blah. Then select create passkey.
Which account are you using to sign in on the Authenticator?
My main account, this account.
Philip's one.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Hold on, let me just check my Authenticator app. One second. Okay.
So, Shegun, have you tried creating it directly from your Authenticator app on your mobile?
Yes. So the process is for me to I'm supposed to continue from my mobile phone, but so when I hit the account, click on create passkey, it tells me to log in with my credential. So when I click on sign in, that is sign in. So when I click on sign in, it takes me to a portal like so at the end of the day, I get an error message like trying to get the message. I don't want to run through the process, so I don't delay. So I get a message that it looks like you're trying to open the resources with the app that has not been approved by your IT department. Ask them for a list of approved application. Meanwhile, this is mostly from when the device has not been enrolled on the company portal, and the device is enrolled. In fact, I can say it's fully functional in tune and fully compliant.
No problem. Just let me go back to the error message again. Where it
Okay.
says that
Let me
doesn't have.
go now. This is the message.
Yeah. So what I want you to do is you probably would have to maybe connect with Deji. I don't want us to take so much time. This looks like a full-blown troubleshooting to me.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I can take a look at that and then I will let you know what something is definitely wrong somewhere. That needs to be
You can
fixed.
connect with him on his terms, right? He can bill you for consulting. But let's go to the next question.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much, Shegun. Thanks for bringing
Right,
this up.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Deji, there's a question in the chat from Simeon and yeah. So Simeon says if a company activates MFA for all users and one particular user is in SMS code authentication, how can you activate it for this user only?
Yeah. Only the one user is just having SMS, so you want the user to have maybe Authenticator app and things like that. So there is now let me show us. There's what we call authentication method also for users. Authentication method. Where you're able to select or add the type of authenticate. Let me share my screen, sorry. Okay, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, so when every other person and one person doesn't have the type of authentication method that others have. So let's say, for instance, this person, when I click on this user account from Entra, you see authentication methods here, so you'll be able to see the authentication method that is currently available for this user. So say you want to add a particular one, you can come here and then you'll be able to add, other type of authentication that you want to add for him. So yeah, that's for that.
Yeah, thanks, Deji. So, Simeon, I hope that answers your question. So, in that case where the person can use maybe Authenticator app, you can also register SMS code by putting the number, just like what it should. Thank you. Then the last one, I think, okay, there's still more, but from Yaya, maybe you discovered there is an attack or your account is being compromised. How do you know where the attack is coming from? And what is the first step to curtail or remediate the attack?
Okay, yeah. So if you discover an attack, the first thing to do, if you discover an attack on a particular account, the first thing that is usually advised to do is to, first of all, reset the password of that user that is involved. So when you reset the password, so either the attack has been successful or not, or you're just seeing that someone is trying to attack, reset the password. And if there is no 2FA on the account, you need to immediately enable that ASAP. If the MFA method you have is just maybe SMS or something, you probably want to increase the level of authentication to say biometrics or something, and what you can also do is to confirm where the attack is coming from. Just directly to answer your question, is you can go through the sign-in logs that I showed us earlier. It will show us where all the sign-in attempts, both successful and unsuccessful, on that particular account is coming from. You will see the locations, you will see the device, you will see the thing. So if, for instance, you see a consistency, you see a particular location that is consistent, you can simply create a conditional access policy to block every signing attempt from a particular location, from that particular location that you have flagged or that you have discovered. So so that is one thing to do. Another thing you should do as an administrator is you need to make sure that your user is aware. Now, user awareness is something that should have been done even before attack happens. That's why users go through things like security trainings, maybe quarterly or something, or attack simulations where you will have told them they should, how they should identify phishing emails or links that has been sent to them, because users don't just get attacked. You probably have tried to sign in on some website, or you've clicked the link and then you've put your username and password there, or you've accessed some. So that is one of the things that first happens before you now start seeing that, oh, someone is trying to penetrate your account. So user awareness, user training is also very important. So you also do that, and then to prevent future occurrence. So those are some of the things you can first of all do. I believe, that answers your question. Okay. Any other question?
Okay, so I think that'll be all. There were some contributions from Simeon. I think that's in regards to Shegun's MFA passkey setup about changing from business account. But I think that's actually 365 accounts. But I think we can just all connect maybe through other media and discuss that. All right. So I think it's been a very wonderful session. Thank you guys. Please, one more time, let's appreciate our speaker for tonight, Deji. It's been a very, very wonderful session looking at the Microsoft for Defender for Identity. So just as you know, we'll continue again tomorrow. And just as he has promised to be looking at another Defender. And we'll be at the same time, 8 p.m. tomorrow. So thank you guys for joining and staying till the end. Hope to see you again tomorrow, same time. Let's have a very good night, morning, afternoon, evening. Thank you. Bye for now.
All right. Bye, everyone. See you tomorrow.